Required distributions are a big concern for a lot of people as they approach retirement. And if they're not a big concern for some people, they really should be. Because people don't understand the impact that required distributions are going to have on your total taxable income. So let me give you a quick example. I have a couple that they have a combined $60,000 in income, and it is just from Social Security. Now, the funky thing about that is that there's this whole formula that we don't need to go into now called the provisional income formula that essentially dictates how much of your Social Security is actually taxable. Well, using that formula, $30,000 of your Social Security goes into that formula. If that entire formula is under $34,000 for a married couple filing jointly, you don't pay any taxes on your Social Security. And if that's your total income, then you're actually receiving $60,000 tax-free. Wonderful. But what happens when you have a required distribution, right? All that money that you saved your entire life that has continued to lower your total taxable income by putting money into 401ks and IRAs, you haven't touched and you haven't needed, so it's just continued to grow and continue to gain interest in retirement, which is wonderful. But let's say that you have $1 million when it comes time for you to take your required distributions. You have $60,000 in Social Security income, and then you have to take 3.9% of your 401k or your IRA or the total amount of money that hasn't been taxed yet, right? If that's an IRA, 403b, 401k, thrift savings plan, deferred comp plan, whatever it may be, you have to begin taking it. And so if you have $1 million combined there, you have to take out about $39,000. Well, what does that do? That changes that whole income formula that we talked about earlier, right? Those required distributions now cause the majority of your Social Security to become taxable where it wasn't previously taxable. Also, that would push you partially above the 12, partially in the 22% tax bracket. So now when you weren't paying any taxes before, now you're forced to pay them now. So what can you do about that? Great question. Thank you for asking. That's a big part of why people come to us to create a tax plan, right? We want to look at what we can do to reduce your overall taxes going forward. And it may be that we do a Roth conversion, right? Where we might take, before you reach 72, you might begin rolling money from your IRA into a Roth IRA, paying the taxes now, and seeing how much we can do and still pay the least amount of taxes so that we can get that money into a bucket where it won't be taxed again, right? When you move money from an IRA to a Roth, you pay the taxes when you do it, but that money in the Roth IRA can then grow tax-free as long as you're alive. Wonderful, right? And if we can do that, and we can get more of that money from one bucket to the next before you take your required distributions, we can lower the money that you are forced to take in retirement. Now, you have to be cognizant. There's a lot of things that can happen when you make that transition. You're essentially adding income now when you're doing a Roth conversion. So if you're taking Medicare, it might raise your Medicare premiums, right? It might cause that Social Security that we talked about to go up. But what we want to do is analyze the total cost and taxes that you're paying now versus what we project you to save later. And if you think about it, ask yourself a very quick question. Do I think taxes are going up, or do I think taxes are going to be going down in the near future? Probably not going down, right? We can't loan out trillions and trillions of dollars in debt and not have more revenue as a result. Wish we could, that would be great, right? But considering that, knowing that, one, you may not be needing a lot of this money in retirement, knowing that tax rates are likely to go up, and knowing that you're also going to be forced to take them, probably makes sense for you to create a plan to reduce your taxes as much as you possibly can over your lifetime. So if you'd like, you can click on the link. We've created an infogram about that. So we have an infographic that you can download. I believe it's in the link below. So feel free to click on that, set up an appointment with us. We'd be happy to go through your plan and help you create one.